Regina Nathan from Dublin, the Orchestra of Welsh National Opera, conducted by Guido Aimoni Marsan. That beautiful aria from La Vallée by Catalani was featured in the French movie Diva. It was one of Toscanini's favourite operas. He named his daughter Vallée after it.
I must first of all tell you that I'm absolutely bowled over by this girl. I'm speechless. I mean, this young girl comes in and does one difficult thing after the other. She starts off with the Et incarnatus est, which must be the Beaches Brook of all soprano arias, does it as though falling off a log. She has the most superb breathing, I think, of anybody in the competition so far. She hardly seems to move, and out comes this outpouring of sound right to the bitter end of every phrase.
It's very hard to define a quality, isn't it? But I think she has a sort of quality of rapture and innocence about her. It's quite extraordinary.
Well, Regina, this is a sentimental visit for you, as indeed it is for me. I give you a hard time, though.
You did. Yeah, you were. You were terribly strict.
Sure.
I mean, it's had an awful effect on my life up to date. My musical life, I can still hear it.
I hope it was sound advice. Do you remember the problems of opening your mouth and being more relaxed? It went very, very well all the time.
Once you got it opened, you couldn't stop me.
I know. It was an embryonic voice, obviously, capable of great development, and she had been very well schooled, very well grounded indeed in Ballymahon, the Convent of Mercy there. Even then, I agreed with the two good sisters there, Sister Agnes and Sister Maura, that here was a voice of some potential. We're talking now of a young girl of 17 and 18-year-old. And in private conversation with Regina, which surprised me at the time and impressed me, she said that she wanted to be a singer.
The first time that I noticed there was a special quality in Regina's voice was when she took the part of Ionetta in the school production of The Gondoliers. She had a song to sing in the finale of the first act. It involved a lot of high notes. At least I considered them high for a girl of her years. She was just about 15 at the time. She sang through that piece with the utmost ease.
You remember that?
I do. And Julie. And Dooley was Schubert.
Julie, that's right.
There was a part in that, you know, I got the giggles. You didn't know that one. She had these tiny little tails at the back of her. Every time I looked at her, I got the fit of giggles, so much so that she got really angry with me one night and told me to stop laughing at her.
Regina, you had this unhappy knack of getting the giggles at the wrong time.
I still have it.
My memory of Regina is that she was a very, no, I won't say lazy, I mean that, but I'll say laid-back sort of student. She never seemed to have anything finished when I'd look for it. You remember the 16-bar melodies? Yeah. Well, invariably, Regina would say, well, I'm just in the middle of the B section when it should all be finished. And the same with the harmony exercise. I'd say, I'll take up the exercises now. And well, I've only 2 bars done.
But you'd get them.
Oh, eventually, yes, eventually I'll get them, but it could be a week later when it would come. One that really stands out in my memory is the Ionetta in The Gondoliers. You said that too,
yes,
Strauss, didn't you?
Yes,
yeah. I remember she was just hopeless at the romantic bits. I felt so stupid trying to show her how to be romantic. I'm sure she's learned since. I'd say she has, but anyway, that's the way at that time.
Joe, this is where we used to meet.
Well, you
Cross each other's paths.
you maintain that I still don't remember the first time we met. But I do.
You don't. When was it?
It's a choir practice.
You remember that now because I told you. Yeah, it was a choir practice. And who introduced us?
Father Watson.
Yeah.
That was it.
You were
the beginning,
you
the
were
beginning
really,
of the end.
But you were really green then, weren't you?
That isn't fair. Yeah, it's only Garson.
Only a young fella.
Yeah. That's it. That's the way it goes.
But you told me a lovely story years after. Do you remember what it was?
Oh.
You said you saw me walking across the bridge with my books and my gabardine coat.
No, with your purple hat on you.
And you swore you were going to marry me.
I said that to myself.
Good, you told me that.
I was a bit naive then too.
I had been in Maynooth a year already, and I had to repeat a subject. And Joe had just come in as a first year, and like it was part and parcel that music students took part in the choral society, and we were so small, such a small group of people that we were.
I was the only male. I was the only male in the.
No,
there
you
wasn't.
weren't.
No, I wasn't.
He likes to think he was, but he wasn't.
I could be asked at what time did I recognize her as having the ability to make it in the international scene. Vocally, I realized that very early on. But as you know, there are many other things involved in music besides having a most beautiful voice. That's a gift from God, and Regina has that. And she has many other gratuitous blessings as well.
Oh, I hadn't thought of doing a singing career. I mean, I left school and the nuns put me in for a scholarship to the College of Music, and I got that. And I was just going once a week up to Dublin. I mean, some years I stayed in Maynooth and other years I didn't, but each, no matter which, I was going for once a week lesson to Nancy Calthorpe in the College of Music, but I hadn't thought of a career, no. No, definitely not. It was just, I was doing my college like everybody. I was doing a college degree in music, French, classical civilization, and I went on to do my dip, and it just gave me that space that I needed to develop a little bit of the confidence now.
As you know, singing is a tremendous discipline. It involves the whole person. It involves the mind, it involves the intellect, it involves body language, if you like. It involves gestures, the eyes, the impression that you make, the presence that you have on a stage. And all these I tried to help and assist her when she was here as a student in Maynooth.
There's always been people there to encourage. And they did. I couldn't, there were times I would stop and feel I can't do it, and they would be the people say, you better do it, you know. Father Watson was very good with me with that, and he'd always say, you know, he has a tremendous philosophy that, you know, everything that you achieve is 99% work. And it works. If you really put your mind to it, you can do anything you like once you put the effort in.
All along, though, she did emphasize her ambition to become a singer. And one can't help feeling that she just did the BA degree and the higher diploma in education as an insurance in case she didn't make it in the international world of singing.
The Irish Chamber Choir started up, and Colin Mawby was heading it, and I was very lucky to get in. That was the first year it was started, and this was just an eye-opener that they actually picked me to get in, because there's only 4 sopranos, 4 altos, 4 tenors, 4 bass, and I was one of the sopranos, and I was thrilled to bits. But it was during that year, with all the work we did, to see how, you know, working Colin was great, and just to do that kind of specific working and recording every Friday and then getting new stuff and recording, I just decided that year I really should try. I should try and see if it's worth doing as a full career, because I enjoyed the fact of doing something like that every day, you know. So I did.
don't mind admitting that we had many a tearful moment, because any young girl possessed of the great gift of a voice that Regina had, and she has many other gratuitous blessings as well, found it hard to realize that the world of the professional singer is a tremendously disciplined one.
Like that, really intensifying the voice and making it more brilliant as the harmony rises, the music rises, and the excitement wells up. Let's go on to the last page.
Sorry,
Yeah.
should I come off the way we came off there? I should come off with the piano like that?
You should. And
right.
although the piano has a diminuendo written in, I think you should just stay forte.
Right.
It's quite a violent.
Right, because I've been off before.
Of course. I think really hold it. It's a big moment. This kiss. Okay. Let's go on to the top of the next page. Here. That's always a slight catch, this entry. Let's try it once more. Change of phrasing here, as it were, where you're saying your bosom yearns towards him. You know, Schubert's also almost written a kind of musical picture of heaving
bosom,
heaving bodices. You know, I mean, it's there. So don't be scared of the breaths and let it become more broken up, and the breathing become more agitated.
Right.
It doesn't want to be a well-schooled Trinity College of Music. This is where you breathe down. Here, Regina, kind of breathing. But this is sheer emotional desperation and excitement.
Right.
Let's try just from here. The way you slightly shade back on and seinen Küssen vergehen sollt, and literally swooning from his kisses. That's marvelous. It also means you come back in order to create a bigger crescendo from there on.
Everybody, I think, has talents that they've chosen to perfect or chosen to use. And for what? For me, I think you use your talents in order to find out your powers, perhaps your limitations, but I think that's a fallacy, really. I think we put our own limits on ourselves. And that's what your talents are for, to help you make the most of yourself and find out the most about yourself and become whatever you want to be. You know, they're instruments to get perfection. And I think it's possible. I believe it's possible.
Yes, really see these clouds and make us see them floating high, high, high up in the sky. I'll give you one bar. fantastic. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, but more so.
Yeah.
At the end of the first verse, you look up there, and at the end of the second verse, you imagine that you're already up there too.
I love singing. That's the main thing. And it's like when you want to be, when you have something you love, you want to share it with somebody. But you have to enjoy it first. So you get up on stage and you kind of are saying, look, this is what I do, this is what I sing, this is how I am. And you're half afraid that it's going to be rejected. But when you start singing, you realize that whether it's rejected or not, you have to do it. It's part of you. And you have to do it, you have to keep doing it to make it as perfect, because I do believe it is possible. You can aim at perfection. It is possible to achieve it in some state. It may, you know, it's relative to everybody. But you keep, it's what keeps you going, that you know you will get there. For me, I think my ultimate, at the moment, I don't know what it'll be like in 10 years' time. I would love to be able to completely give myself over to the music, not to have to think of the ego or the self, or not to be concentrating, just to be able to say, okay, I've done the work, now give it over.
Because Flora is perfect.
I think it's about 6 or 7 years ago in Dublin when I was invited for the first time to adjudicate at the Feshkiol. And there were, of course, many excellent singers there. Regina was one of the outstanding ones. She had an excellent teacher who felt that it was time that she came to London, and the teacher and I had known each other, Nancy Calthorpe, through the Association of Teachers of Singing. And so she kindly suggested that perhaps I could take Regina and that she would be happy for us to do that between us.
she did come regularly, right through Trinity, of course, when we had lessons there, and then subsequently when she was at National Opera Studio, which was her next development, and then when she gained the YCAT help from the agents there.
YCAT, as we know it in the agency world, is different from ordinary agencies because it's not a commercial agent, it's a charity set up to launch young musicians at the beginning of their career. And we audition, which other commercial agents don't do. We hold auditions once a year, 3 rounds of auditions, and we choose to represent only those artists who we feel have the potential for an international career in music.
When I got to London, I really needed not to have to worry. I wanted to just dedicate completely and utterly to see had I a potential career. And you could only do that if you give yourself 100% to trying to improve. And thanks be to God, I had the sponsorship. I mean, I got it from private friends and also from companies.
Well, there comes a time in the life of a young artist when a particular opportunity comes their way. And if they can take it, it can make a huge difference to their career. That time came in 1989 for Regina Nathan, when she was offered a place at the National Opera Studio in London. And ESB was approached to see if we would be interested in supporting her in her studies there. So we obviously were aware of Regina's talent, and we decided that we would support her.
And this bold Irish boy was my pride and my joy. And I built him a bower in my breast. But this girl has taken my bonny, bonny boy. Let her make of him all that she can. For whether he loves me or loves me not, I will walk with my love now and then.
I have to get something from singing, and when I don't, I feel very shortchanged. When I don't put in what I want to put in, it becomes meaningless. You know, you have this voice and it's empty. The whole thing for me isn't just the voice and work. It's very much learning, personal learning, and that makes life more meaningful for me. And I think it's the same with everybody's talents. If you use them in the right way, your life, your living becomes more full. And when you stop doing that, it becomes very, very empty.
Dus luisteren naar Regina Nathan en het Nationale Orkest van België onder leiding van Rehearsal.
I used competitions. Queen Elizabeth was the biggest I did. I've always used competitions because in Dublin you had the Feisceol, which when I went to London I realised how important that Feisceol, those Feisceols, I mean all the festivals, they are so important because they give you, you have to get up and sing in front of an audience, you know, and from a young age, and it's very, very important. It stands to you forever. I also use competitions to learn new repertoire. But these international competitions, when I decided to do them, I wanted to know what it was like in the international scene. I didn't want to be afraid of it. And they just seemed an easy way to get to go to a country, suss out the feeling, the culture of the country, see how the music works, how important it is in different countries. And they were just international auditions. As it turned out, I wasn't expecting to do well. I was there to learn, and it was just an extra bonus that I did so well. I'm delighted. If you're lucky enough to get through one round, you have to build up the same. It's like building up an energy for recital work. And to build up that same level again, say in 2 or 3 days. It's constant. By the end, I've always been absolutely exhausted, because you're not only talking about the performance, you're talking about the nerves that go into a competition, trying not to. It's different. It's completely different performance.
Non capisco perché tanto ti spiace la più comoda stanza nel palazzo.
Perché sono la Susanna e tu sei pazzo.
Grazie, non tanto elogi. Guarda un poco, se potriasi meglio stare in altro loco.
Right, excellent. I think that we, yeah.
Sorry, I'm receiving.
You're worrying about
That
this.
move, well, that move drives you to slow down. I mean,
It shouldn't do.
It shouldn't, because still that was almost right, but it wasn't really right.
Getting back into, yeah.
So if you can just keep it going. I mean, we can always cut it. It's not crucial, but it would be nice if we can keep it. It's right.
If it's, you see, if it's much loose, it's actually quite loose. Yeah. It's actually quite loose there. I think it's just that there. Literally.
Because it's got to build on the
Yes, there's oceans of room under there. There's oceans of room on the bodice. Because we've let the bodice out across the back. And the sleeve has gone as far as we can let it go. I mean, I can let that seam go, but then you get that nasty mark. New sleeves? Yeah. New sleeves with a bigger head.
I would love if the acting side of this career was maybe up a bit higher, of a higher standard, more in keeping with the musical side. But it's getting there. It's just a different discipline, and I know a lot of it is a question of confidence as well. You really get involved in the whole thing, and you're not there on your own. It's very much teamwork, and I always feel very comfortable on stage doing opera work.
Terrific. The other thing is, just when you do when he's come forward the first, when he first grabs you, guarda un po', you've got to make it clear. Look here. Look at this. That's what I want you to look at. Yeah, not anything else. Yes, darling, it's lovely. And could you immediately, he says that, can you think, oh, you know, sort of turn away and enjoy it, model it a bit. Do you know what I mean? And then as he's coming across, when you look back to him, he's not looking at you.
Imagine that to sing Mozart is easy. Many of the arias are quite a small range compared with Puccini and Verdi and so on. And they are not so obviously emotionally or technically demanding. If the range and the volume are both moderately small, a young singer feels that she can cope with them. For instance, Susanna's aria De Vieni only goes to a top A and mainly down to a C with this touching of B flat A. But it's extremely difficult to make a beautiful legato in that aria, not to have high notes sticking out and bumping. But perhaps even more difficult is the recitative. Even if the opera is being sung in an English translation, the speed of the recitative is very fast. And when it has to be done in fluent Italian, that adds a lot of problems to the average singer.
opera stage, you become part of a team. Up to now, that's the way I feel. I become part of a team. You have to be a bit bigger than what you normally are in order to project, because you're projecting a character rather than just, you know, the music and the sound.
Susanna! Susanna!
Susanna's part grows, I think, so much throughout the opera. And of course she does have really a great deal more to do than the Countess. And she has to be a consummate actress in her dealings with the Count, and then keeping Figaro happy, and with Marcellina different again. So I think the whole opera really does tend to hang on the character of Susanna, and therefore it is a very, very important part. And I think Regina is extremely lucky that Glyndebourne has picked her.
Part of it is very pretty, but we can't move.
Well, I know it's much better than the last time, I have to say.
Good.
But it's, if I could just not feel that at all.
It's not
I mean,
a modern
it's not a T-shirt. You see, that you have...
No, I am considering that.
You see, otherwise, if you're not careful, your boobs will start to fall out.
Yes.
I think there are so many ways in which she can show different facets of the character. She can have great depth towards the end of the opera, when the poor Countess is really distraught at the idea that she should have to sink to changing her clothes and making use of her maid, however fond she is of the young girl, to play this deception upon a husband.
I read somewhere, you know, that you have the written page, you have these words, you have a sentence, And then you have the eyes reading it. And the interpretation comes somewhere between the eyes and the written word. And I always think music is that in-between world, between the eyes and the written world. It's something people recognize. They may not always be able to understand it, depending on whatever level of awareness we're all at. But it's extremely important to our life and living. It's very, if we leave ourselves open to hearing it or feeling it, we will. I'll always be grateful to them and grateful to the whole of the Ballymahon community of nuns, because with all the work they put in and all the knowledge they tried to give us, whether it was up to us whether we took it or not, there came an awful lot of care and genuine, sincere kind of loving as well. And basses is unbelievable, because I learned piano with them. I learned a lot of musical appreciation. I always remember the first time Sister Maura played tiny little music room, and she put on the Pilgrim's Chorus, the 3 trombones, and oh gosh, I remember going in there after class and just putting that up full blast and just listening to this music, you know, and learning all about form and how to listen, following the score. It all kind of started here, you know.